Hey, and welcome back to the next episode of the Right Hand Drive Guys podcast, the podcast for guys who like right hand drives. I'm Bobby. This is Aaron.
Yo.
And welcome to episode 129. And we are back yet again with another guest from the culture. And this week it is Kalvin Mali.
Who's Kalvin?
Kalvin is the owner of Mali Motorworks, and also an interesting story about him is he had a bad situation with an importer where he was kind of misled on a vehicle, and it turned out to be way worse than he ever expected.
Ooh.
Yeah. So if you're into a bad importer story, we got one for you tonight.
Heck yeah, man. Let's
do it. So this is Kalvin Mali with episode 129. All right, and we're back with Kalvin Mali. What's up, Kalvin?
What's going on, guys? How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We're good, man. We appreciate you coming on for sure. Yeah, I've been following you ever since kind of the story broke about your R32 kind of I don't know what we're gonna call it, but we'll get to that.
Bit of
All
a
right.
scandal, you know?
Yeah, scandal. Yeah,
right
that's a
into
good
it,
one.
you know?
Yeah. So before we break into that, like, who is Kalvin? Where are you from? Kind of what do you do? You know what I mean? What got you here?
So my name's Kalvin Mali. I'm just out here trying to live the dream, to put it simply, man. I'm just a solo entrepreneur. Been at this for about 10 years now, 5 years with Mali Motorworks, which is my main business and my main focus, and has been for the past 5 years. And over the time, I've just kind of learned what I wanted to do, what I didn't want to do. Used to kind of just be like an all-around performance shop. And that was great, you know, had a lot of fun, learned a lot, but I also learned what I didn't enjoy doing. You know, just long story short, basically, I've always wanted to get into Skylines. I just never really had the pockets for them. Mm-hmm. And, you know, everything has just been going straight back into the business for me. So finally came into a situation where I was able to get one. And long story short, that kind of spiraled in an absolute shit show, part of my French, but there's no other way of going about it. And, you know, the plan was originally to kind of get the car and focus, you know, a shop based around those cars, the GTRs and Skylines in general. So, yeah, at first it was just planning to be like a just kind of a simple performance shop, but now it's kind of dove into becoming a full-out restoration shop. So definitely have learned a lot just based off my own car. Had to tear it down. If any of you guys know the story, you would know how deep I had to dive into it. But yeah, so that's just kind of it. I just I'm here, you know, solo grinding, but you know, it's part of the process. So we're just trying to be here and provide a killer service for the Skyline community. So
that's dope. And so you said you're in upstate New York?
Yeah, that's right. So upstate New York right now. I actually was in Texas for about 3-4 years. That's why I originally opened up the shop with a business partner. And then that whole partnership kind of went sour. And then I just regained full ownership of the business and kind of had some change of plans last minute, which ended up moving me back up here to New York, which is where I'm originally from. But yeah, so actually trying to make my way back down to Texas to settle down the shop and really, you know, just make a home. Because as we talked before the stream, I mean, you guys know the weather in upstate, you know, in this Northeast area, especially this time of the year, it's like, when is spring going to show up, you know? So yeah. 6 months of shit weather, 6 months of decent weather. It's just, for us car guys, it's not ideal, you know? So
yeah, no, we feel that being from Maine 100%. The weather's similar to upstate. And I'm curious though, is the scene, what's the scene like around, you know, upstate New York? Because I know up here for us, especially when it comes to the right-hand drive cars, it's like non-existent.
That's pretty much the same here. To be honest, when I was in high school and growing up, the car scene was really good. Like a lot of good people, not necessarily any JDM stuff around, but just in general, like a good scene. A lot of people would get together on Sundays. We'd all just go out to the ice cream shop and just hang out for hours and hours on end. But unfortunately, you know, people started to ruin it for others. So that kind of dwindled down into nothing. And now, to be honest, that's another main reason why I'm just ready to get out of of this area because there's just really no car scene in general. I mean, these two Skylines that I've just got into the shop for work, I had to go drive, 6 hours for one and then 4 hours for the other,
Damn.
one way. So they're just not in this area. So in Texas though, I'm sure you guys, if you guys have been there, maybe it's a whole different story down there. So
yeah, for sure. You have work piling up down there, and I can only imagine, when it comes to especially restoration, that's something it takes a special hand to go at, to have the patience to restore, any car from the ground up. That really takes some patience. So you definitely, I think you got a good business model as far as that's concerned compared to, whatever, upgrading turbos and installing VCAM and whatever else that may be for the Skylines.
Yeah, and not that I'm saying I don't do that or can't do that, but there's plenty of shops that already focus on the performance stuff and they're already great at it. So, for me to literally build something from nothing, it's tough in the car game. I don't have any good connections or, anything like that. So I'm just kind of, just trying to let the work speak for itself, for the most part. So just trying to post as much as I can, and because, as far as here in the States, I mean, yes, there's some resto shops for sure, but I don't know if they're really doing what I'm doing, I'm taking what I think are, mine specifically was extremely rusted out. And I mean, if
let's
you were to
get
look
into
at it
that,
now,
actually.
you
Tell us
wouldn't
from the
even be able to
beginning.
tell. Should I tell the whole story about the importing thing and everything?
Yeah, let's do it. That way we can kind of, the listeners can understand what you went through to get to where you're at now, know?
Sure. I'll try and condense it because it can get pretty lengthy. Long story short, I bought this IS300 for like $1,500 here in upstate New York before I moved to Texas. Did a couple things, cleaned it up. Oddly enough, I think he's still an NFL player. Vincent Smith. Don't know if I'm not a big NFL guy.
Me neither.
He used to play for the Giants at the time. He reached out to me and he was in Texas. I had just moved down and he had an R32 GTST. So he was just reaching out. I guess for whatever reason, he wanted an IS300. And as you guys probably know, the value is quite different between a GTST and an IS300. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm interested, but like, what do you want on for cash on top? He's like, oh, nothing. I just want a straight trade.
Okay.
Wow.
I zipped my mouth and I was like, bring it on down, So it wasn't perfect by any means, but the trade happened and, running and driving car, it was actually pretty nice, to be honest. And that, drove it for a bit and enjoyed it, had a hell of a lot of fun. But obviously the goal was a GTR, so with my following and stuff, I was able to kind of do a bit of a raffle and raffled the car off. And basically that next day after announcing the winner, went online, R32 GTR for sale. And oddly enough, the one that I have right now popped up first, front and center. There it was, it was white, exactly what I wanted. And so I ended up talking to the guy. It was a good price at the time. This is in 2021, or I'm sorry, end of 2020. So just kind of before the prices were starting to really skyrocket. And starting to talk to this guy, we exchange hundreds of messages, phone calls, this and that and the other. And he's in Japan. So I'm trying to save some money, by importing the car myself. Of course, I've never done that before. So it was quite a learning curve.
Yeah.
But so ended up with basically a car that wasn't nearly what was advertised. The inspection sheets, there was a lot of, discrepancies going on with those. First, it showed up to the auctions as a grade 2, and then a month later, it showed up as a grade 3. So what they did was they just kind of threw some paint on it and kind of hid, the traditional little import special, where just throw a little lick of paint on there and send it through the block. So, and of course, the pictures that you get from the importers look like they're taken on a BlackBerry, right? Like something
it's crazy.
Super old.
It really is crazy how those pictures are.
It's wild. It's wild, man. So, and I'm in the moment, right? I'm excited. I found this car that's like kind of within my budget. I actually didn't even have all the money at the time. I was just like, okay, I'll get a loan. I'll figure it all out. No worries. This car is available. It's, semi cheap. And from what I'm seeing, what this guy's telling me, all is good. You know, this is exactly what I just want. I just want to get it, drive it, enjoy it. I'm not trying to do any sort of work really. You know, maintenance is fine, but I just want to buy it and drive it. Right. That was my plan. So, yeah, so ended up scrambling all the money together. Had to sell a couple things, which besides the point, but we made it happen. And when the car arrived, before I even got to it, I was just walking up to it at the port, and I could immediately tell there was some fishy bodywork going on. Like you could see the quarter panels were all wavy, and at the time my girlfriend was with me, and I didn't really, she was super excited because we were super stoked. Like this was like a dream for us, and I didn't want to get all down in the moment. So I kind of hid my emotions. I knew what was happening. I knew there was some sketchy stuff going on. The moment I felt my hand underneath the arches, I mean, there was like caulk almost, just full of seam sealer. And you couldn't even feel the body line or anything like that. So, so at that point in time, I kind of was already deflated and I was like a little bit bummed out about it. But I said, okay, let me just get it home and we'll, take it for a drive and, we'll just, at least dive in a little bit more before I get too upset. So take it out for the first drive. And first off, I'm just exiting the driveway and, it's clunking about and things are creaking and rattling. I'm like, okay, all right, whatever. And then get onto the street and it's like unsafe. The wheels feel like they're about to fall off. There's clunking and rattling happening everywhere. So I just drive it quickly back into my garage and I noticed that all the control arm bolts are loose. The upper top hats of the coilovers were loose. And some arms in the rear were loose. So, I mean, that is absolutely crazy. I've never even experienced that ever before.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, yeah, it was wild. And then, so luckily didn't make it too far, came back, fixed that up, and then actually went out for a drive. And then, of course, I was stoked, ready to hit some boost and put the foot to the floor and made no power. I mean, it sounded like a Toyota Camry. It was terrible. Yeah, so made no boost, smoking out the back.
How many kilometers are on it at this point?
Well, allegedly it has a cluster swap, so I'm not really too sure. But I think when I bought it, it had 137,000 on it. But again, that's incorrect for sure.
Yeah.
So then turns out, the turbos were blown. I did a compression test. Cylinder one had like 20 or 30 pounds of compression. And then I took the head off. There was a lot of detonation marks in the cylinders, and the head was completely scorched and damaged.
I remember seeing pictures of that. That looked crazy. Like I've never seen the pitting like that.
It was pretty rough. And at first I thought, it looked like a BB was dropped in and just started bouncing around in there. But it was consistent with all the back three, I think, cylinders it was. And talking to a couple people that are a bit more knowledgeable with the tuning space than I am, they were saying that those are definitely detonation marks. So what I'm assuming is someone just cranked the boost up, on their pump fuel and grenaded it, basically. And I'm assuming it was a drift car because it showed up. The all-wheel drive wasn't working. It had a roll cage in it, a bolt-in cage. And the kind of cherry on top that made me really think it was a drift car was the donut in the back was completely bald and to the cords. So I was like, this guy was having some fun. Yeah,
Jeez.
So it was brutal, man. And then it just kind of got worse and worse from there. And the turbos were completely blown.
Do you know if that was the original motor?
That I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but yeah. And then once I pulled the motor, I started just kind of finding, all the rust and stuff like that. And one thing led to another. I started fixing one spot, and I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna do this, let's actually do it. So then I ended up building myself a rotisserie and stripped it all the way back down. And I mean, now it's sitting here completely restored, just needs paint now. But it's been a hell of a journey. So hopefully my story can kind of maybe help someone out there avoid all this chaos. Because let me tell you, none of it was fun, man. None of it was fun. So.
And so what would you have done differently? Take it back to 2021, you see that first car and you jump on it. What would you have done differently in order to, you think, avoid this?
Brother, well, first of all, definitely would have had someone go and check it out, like in person.
Yeah.
like, I was just in the moment, man. Like I'm to blame for sure. Like, I can't even be mad at the guy who sold it to me. Obviously he kind of, did, I guess, scam me a little bit.
Yeah.
I hate to kind of use that word, but, because at the end of the day, it is my fault. But, with all the things that he was telling me and, I don't know, it was just crazy. Cause at the time I was pretty active on YouTube too. And, I told the guy like, hey, look, like I'm trying to build this car up a little bit, modify it. And I would love to kind of talk about my buying experience and promote your business and help you guys out as well. So yeah, it was just crazy to me that, there's no way he didn't know about all these problems. So, I made sure obviously ask the basic simple answers or questions like how does it run, does it make a boost, this, just the basic stuff. But all of that obviously turned out not to be true. So yeah, just definitely have someone go out there and check it out in person, even if you can go out there yourself, especially if you're buying them now, they're, up to $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 for some GTRs, so you might as well go out there, check it out in person, really get a good feel for it.
Agreed.
Obviously now with the whole import tax and stuff, I'm sure it's gonna be a little bit more difficult to get these cars in and stuff like that. But yeah, at least just check it out in person is my definite number one recommendation,
Yeah.
Because the inspection sheets can be super shady as well. Like, there's it's so easy to pay a guy in Japan to kind of say, don't look at this, just don't worry about that. And, give it a grade 4 instead of a grade 3 or something stupid like that, so you never know, man.
Yeah, that's true. And there are super reputable inspection agents out there, one of them being our friend Trevor. And it's like, those guys are out there. And obviously in your case, it's like getting your first GTR, your first imported car from Japan. You have the stars in your eyes, right? You're just like,
brother,
you're ready.
I was on the way there. I was a kid in a candy store, man. I was so excited. Like, it all felt surreal, dude. Like I couldn't sleep the night before. Like, the whole excitement feeling, man. Like it was like years in the making for me. Like I had a YouTube video I made in like 2014 talking about like, I will get an R32 GTR. I don't know how, don't know when, but I will get it. It's going to happen. Cause like that was my, my JDM dream car. And,
oh, you got it all right.
I sure got it all. That's for sure, bro. So, yeah, it's a shame, but I'm kind of taking it as like a blessing in disguise. Like, yeah, I've had the car for almost 5 years now. I've never even felt boost in it. I've never driven it. It's just kind of crazy to me. Like I'm building this car and putting so much time into it where I don't even really, like in my head, I know like, yes, this is what I want. Like this is the car, but it's wild, that, but I guess, we're at the home stretch now. All the hard work is done the way I look at it. So, and I've kind of been able to, I guess, now mold my business here around these cars and that type of work. So, because I don't think you can buy that knowledge anywhere. You have to just get the experience with dissecting panel by panel, removing spot welds, seeing how things are layered up and built up. And because, yeah, if you just look at the progress and what's been done, it's pretty crazy how much had to be rebuilt, remade, replaced. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's if you look at it now though, like you wouldn't even be able to tell anything was done, which I think I'm pretty stoked about that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, like you said, in the sense of you like first of all, props on the patience, because a lot of guys would have just scrapped that thing to the highest bidder.
It was on my mind for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And B, like it did create the situation where you kind of realize like, hey, like I don't mind doing this. This was actually something I enjoyed, and I wouldn't mind doing it for other people who have, maybe not in the same situation, but do have a car that could use some of that work. So blessing in disguise is definitely a thing here.
I agree, because a lot of shops even won't really touch rusty cars, and for me, like that's no problem. Like bring it in, I'll make it better than new. Like that's, people always want the originality, but at the end of the day, like these things were built 30 plus years ago with subpar materials with little to no attention to detail, like they're just built by your average Joe who, yeah, I'm sure they liked cars, but they weren't being paid to properly build these things and make them perfect, So, But yeah, so that's kind of what I'm trying to do here, and use the best materials, better undercoating, better paints, no e-coats, using actual epoxies and just really nice sound deadening, like just build a nice quality car is the goal,
And so, so far, obviously, like you said, you're prepped for paint. And I would assume there's a lot of little parts, gaskets, clips, these different things that you need to source. What would you say up until now? What's been your biggest challenge when it comes to restoring your personal car?
Just panels. You can't buy replacement panels anymore. I mean, you can. They're just not nearly as available, and the price is just crazy.
Wild, yeah.
Luckily enough, I got to shout out Stacked Exports because they actually sponsored my quarter panels for the car. So without them, I don't even know what the hell I would have done because at the time, even it would have been like $6,000 to $7,000 landed for 2 quarter panels. And, I literally just spent all my money on this car, for me to find $7,000 at the time. It was not even on the radar, so I really don't know where the car would have been without that. But it's just tough, man. Like having to remake everything yourself, which is great because I've learned a lot of, metal skills and stuff like that. But that's definitely been the biggest challenge, man, because you used to be able to just, hop online and pay a few $100 for a big old quarter panel. And now you have to just patch it up, replacing a quarter panel is not for everybody. That's a super extensive job. So even like rocker panels and, the kind of basic spots for these cars that like to rust out, they're not available anymore, so it's tough.
So when you were tearing it apart, did you come across rust in a spot where you're like, wow, how did it get all the way here? Like
every time I tore the car apart, I was just blown away because honestly, to be fair, and I have no proof of this, but I honestly think the car was completely submerged in water at some point.
Dang.
Because then the reason I think this is, so I'm just taking the car apart and, the interior's all out. And then up on the rear parcel shelf, like where the speakers go, there's all this sand and dirt and there's no water line, which, that's why I'm thinking maybe it was completely underwater. But because there was so much dirt in the car, and I just I've never really come across that sort of levels of debris, just from driving a car, even with the windows down. It was it looked like a bottom of the ocean in that thing. So I was like, maybe this thing caught a bit of the tsunami action, back in 2011 or 12 or something like that. But
flood car, yeah.
Yeah, man. So there was a lot of surprises. Then they just kept on coming. Even up until the last repair, it was like, what the hell is going on here? But now I know literally every inch, of these cars to say, okay, well, if there's rust here, this is what we got to do, and this is what I got to make, or, something like that. So at the end of the day, like I said, blessing in disguise, I learned a hell of a lot, man. It's just knowledge you can't buy, right? So.
That's priceless, realistically.
Trying to take that forward and, apply it to other people out there that have these cars that want to make them really nice,
Yeah, like you said, I mean, that's priceless info that, you couldn't have even gotten a guy to tell you. You know what I mean? You had to experience that for yourself 100%.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So, it's been a process, but man, I'm super stoked with how things went. And I took the car to GTR Festival last year, and everyone was like, "Hey, how's your car coming? Where is your car at?" And I was like, "Dude, it's literally this is the car." I had the car there in the rotisserie. It was fully done, restored. Dude, there's no way. So it was crazy, man. The whole car was blown apart, frame rails, roof, quarters, rockers, the floor. The whole engine bay was blown apart. I mean,
wow.
The list goes on and on, man. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So.
And so what do you think the timeline is on your personal car right now? Obviously, you got some customer cars; those are probably going to come first, just because that's how dudes like us work, right? I mean, customers first. But what's the timeline like?
That's it. I'm hoping by the end of this year, but to be fair, man, I'm trying to just grow the business at the moment, and. It's tough. I mean, building the GTR, you guys freaking know it ain't freaking cheap. So,
No.
I need a lot of parts still. You know, I've kind of got the chassis and the hard work done. It's just, you know, we'll see. I'm hoping this year would be great to at least have a motor in it and be like a roller.
Yep.
But you know, maybe it'll happen sooner. And if it doesn't happen that soon, I'm not really too stressed about it because I'm just trying to grow the shop and you know, get myself established a bit more and yeah, you know, get settled in. So
Yeah, I mean, I saw you with the red 32 removing that
the
rear
back,
window, dude, and my butt was puckering the whole time, that whole video, dude. I was like, this man is crazy picking it up alone
dude.
by himself, but dude, you handled that like a pro.
Dude, yeah, because every shop I called, they're just first of all, I told them like, you know, hey, it's a 1993, you know, Skyline GTR, and they're like, okay, well, what is that? It's a Nissan. I'm like, yeah, it's not in my database. Like, well, it's not going to be in your database. So I just and the fact that just no one knew what these cars were just had me a bit iffy because that, you know, the N1 rear glass. I mean, OEM glass in general.
Oh, and it's an N1 rear glass?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, without the wiper. That's the big deal,
Yeah.
right?
And those are
Wow.
discontinued. You cannot buy them. And you know, to be fair, like, you know, if anyone's removed glass, like the rear is not too subject to crack. The fronts are very subject though. And but yeah, I was able to I got all the tools I needed for my own to do the job myself. And yeah, I was stoked. It all came out sweet. Super nervous though, bro. Like just like you, I was clenched the whole time. It was super nerve wracking, but yeah, luckily all, you know, knock on wood, I continue to have good success because yeah, that was a $10,000 plus piece of glass. So I was like, let's not drop this or let's not mess this up. So, but yeah, man, I'm yeah, just trying to, like I said, just trying to make people comfortable. You know, like that's the thing when these cars, you don't want to just take it to some guy who thinks they know what they're doing. You know, you got to know that they know what they're doing. So, yeah, man, just try and you know, offer the service, man. It's tough. It's tough out there for these cars. Not many people want to touch them these days, you know?
Yeah, and props to you for being willing to learn and execute something that you maybe haven't done before, whereas, like you said, other guys will stray away from it. Now you do have that experience. Now you know you can confidently do it and repeat the process. I mean, that,
100%.
again, priceless, right? I mean, I
I
know I
agree.
wouldn't be taking out any rear windows in here. That's just me, right? I don't have that confidence, but I also won't have that skill. You know what I mean? And that kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things too. It's like, I mean, if you have no choice, you got to do it. You kind of just got to do it, you know, and just take your time, right? Try and do a little bit of research about the deal. And but yeah, I just guess that's just what it's all about, having a little bit of confidence in the thing. So, but yeah, no, it's all coming out great. You know, I'm starting to kind of build a good collection of all in-house type deal. Obviously, I've already outgrown the shop. I mean, this is kind of like a temporary location at the moment, but yeah, like I said, man, just trying to create a one-stop shop for these things.
And so, you know, speaking of outgrowing that shop and everything, you know, where do you see Mally Motorsports in, you know, or
Motorworks.
Motorworks, sorry.
You're
I
good.
knew I'd
You're
mess
good.
something up.
You're good. You're good.
But so where do you see that? You know, where is that going? Like, what's the end goal there?
Yeah, man. So, you know, I'm not trying to. I mean, I'll just, you know, I'm trying to be like a BBL here in the States. Like that's kind of my goal. Like, yeah, I'm just one guy at the moment, but the plan is to expand. You know, just got to find the right people and you know, just really offer the highest level of restoration. You know, I was able to kind of dissect the BBL cars at Texas, and you know, I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything like that, but I you know, I think my work is just as good. And but yeah, so I think, you know, just having a really good kind of close knit group of guys that just all love to build these cars, and you know, that way someone can bring a car in, kind of like you know how Larry Chen did his thing at BBL. He brought it in, and they did a full out restoration, kind of not even that much rust. You know, most of these cars that people want these restorations done aren't too rusty. They're rusty. I mean, all of them have rust. When
Yeah.
people say no rust on GTRs, That's false.
Right.
They're
You
not
know,
looking deep enough.
Yeah.
yeah, they're just not looking close. Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, so this one that I'm restoring right now, it's already super clean, you know, and just a little bit of rust here and there, excuse me. But yeah, so most of the time, you know, you don't really have to deal with too much rot, you know, when people want to restore them. But yeah, you know, either way, whether it has rust or not, you know, just here to, you know, do a one-stop deal, you know, and just build the highest level of GTRs. That's the end goal, you know, that's the end goal. So.
And so could you see yourself, you know, especially if you were able to relocate back to Texas, could you see yourself maybe partnering with, and maybe that's what you meant by the group of guys, but partnering with somebody that's really good at RB motors, partnering with somebody who's really good at interior refinishing, kind of that BBL model. Could you see yourself
Right.
being the body part of that whole equation?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like my goal is not to work for the rest of my life, right? So I do want to kind of teach and you know
Mm-hmm.
teach my skills to other people as well. Like I mean, to be honest, over the years I've had to do everything. Like I paint, I do body, I do metal fab, and you know everything, motor work. I build engines, build wiring harnesses. I mean, I've had to just kind of do it all myself because I just haven't had anyone else to do it for me. Or if I did, you know, I just never really had a solid rock that I could kind of turn my back and let them go at it. So
Mm-hmm.
just finding, yeah, that group of guys would be massively key, you know, just having them hone in on specific little niches. And yeah, you know, I would definitely probably be more so the fab and metalwork guy to start off with, without a doubt, you know, just because of how much, you know, exposure I've had to the platform and how deep I've dove in, you know, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with Steve from SR Auto Bodies in the UK.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
that's yeah, like the guy's an absolute legend. Like I got to go hang out with him last year and check out his shop, and yeah, like that's what I'm trying to do here. You know, maybe even scale it up a little bit because you know he's got a really nice, cool shop, but I mean, he is packed like me. Like it is sardines in there, you know. So just to yeah, just have a nice, comfortable area, you know, a lot of space, you know, organization. I feel like is majorly key, and but yeah, you know, just trying to take care of the people, man. That's all we're trying to do out here, you know.
Yeah, that's dope, man. I can see it, and yeah, once you get with some like-minded guys that you know have
Yes.
their own expertise, yeah, I could see that team would be pretty deadly in the sense of just knocking these cars out.
Yes, I agree. Definitely, man. So I think, yeah, just first step is just get to an area where it's a little bit more populated, a little more dense with the whole car community and, you know, the talent's out there, you know, and I'm willing to pay for the good talent. So, you know, because it's hard to find, you know,
It
so,
is, yeah, and
but
those guys are usually pretty booked, so you do gotta pay. Unfortunately, you know what I mean. It just like you said, sardines, right? Everybody
that's
worth
it.
it, including yourself. You know, has a line of cars that they're working on because they are the guys to do it. But a lot of
That's right.
times, you know, like-minded people like yourself and the people you're looking for, eventually you gravitate towards each other.
That's right. Yeah, it's inevitable. So, you know, that's what I was kind of just focusing now on, just, you know, doing the high quality work and just kind of letting that speak for itself. And, you know, I'll eventually track the right people. You know, I've just got to trust the process, you know.
Yeah, 100% agreed, man. What color are you painting the car? Is it gonna be white? Is that what it seems like?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna stick to 326, man, because that was the original like goal. And when I actually bought the car, like on the pictures, it looked 326, but when I got it, it was like this creamy eggshell. So I was like, oh, what the hell is going on?
Oh,
So
damn.
that was a bit of a bummer. Yeah, that was crazy. So yeah, now I got to get it back to its original state. And yeah, 326 I think is one of my favorites for an R32 for sure.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, we're excited to see it, man. We'll definitely be following along.
Oh, heck yeah, man.
So real quick, tell the listeners like where can they find you? Where can they find your company? Because I know there are going to be some guys that just want to follow along now that they know what you've been through.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, you can just follow me on Instagram. That's kind of where I'm most active. Kalvin_Mally or Mally Motorworks would be the mains. But yeah, if you just either want to reach out, you can shoot me an email through there. If you have any questions, you know, feel free. I'm always open to talk cars and GTRs and stuff like that. So yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm pretty easy to find.
Yeah, man, we're definitely gonna hit you up when we hit the road and are coming down through New York, because we wanna check out that bodywork, man. I want to see that thing on the rotisserie.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, definitely. Please do. You guys are welcome anytime, man.
Hell yeah. We appreciate you coming on, man, for sure. Just telling your story, shooting the stuff with us. You know what I mean?
Of course. Thank you guys for the invite, man. I really appreciate that.
Hell yeah, Kalvin. I hope you have a great night, man, and we'll catch you soon.
All right, Bobby, Aaron. Thank you guys. Appreciate you.
Talk about persistency.
Yeah, man. That guy just stuck with it, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I won't lie. Like, you know, you feed me a like rusted out 32 and that thing's getting flipped. Like for me, I wouldn't have the patience, the know-how, any of it to put it on a rotisserie and just start blowing out spot welds.
Yeah, but dude, in his case, like he totally flipped it into something that is pretty freaking positive. You know, he's using that to gain the knowledge to then, you know, share that with the community and share that service with the community, which is like kind of what we need if we want these cars to stick around. We need more people like him that want to do that type of restoration, that type of work.
That deep, hard, all the words.
Pause.
No, but for real, like that's very challenging, very tedious, attention to detail. Yeah. Like we do need those guys, or else these cars are not gonna last, you know, long term. So, and you know, props to him. You know, it's been 5 years, 4 years, like he said, and he's still working on the thing.
Dude,
you know, he's still trying to get it. So, I think we can all learn a lesson on patience from Kalvin, because now look what he's gonna have instead of having some other car that he would have had to do work on if he had flipped this one and got another one. Now he will have a completely restored R32.
Yeah.
And what else could you want? You know, like it's completely restored. He has nothing to worry about from here on out. So
nothing, dude.
Yeah, major props to Kalvin. We definitely appreciate him coming on. It's always good, you know, after last week hearing a story about a guy that got his car stolen and he has not got it back. It is nice to hear a story about a guy that didn't give up and now he's well on his way to being where he wanted to be in the first place.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. Hey, guys, don't forget, follow us at RHDGUIS. Same thing on YouTube. And then if you want to join the Facebook group, it's RHDGUIS-JDM Boys with an I or a Y?
It's a Y.
It's a Y. So we're good. Hit us up on the Facebook group. Come join us. Join in the conversation. But for episode 129 with Kalvin Malley, I'm Bobby. This is Aaron.
See ya.
Peace.